Ranking the last 20 NBA MVPs by aura. Number 20, Joel Embiid. Embiid finally won MVP in 2023 after coming close the previous couple years. He led the league with 33.1 points per game, had some huge games like dropping 59 against Utah and 52 against Boston. But the Sixers underperformed in the playoffs once again, which took away some excitement. Not to mention, a ton of people felt Jokic was more deserving of the award, something he backed up by leading the Nuggets to their first ever championship. Number 19, Steve Nash. Steve Nash took home his second straight MVP in 2006, putting up 18.8 points and 10.5 assists a game. He shot lights out. In fact, he put up the legendary and rare 50-40-90 stat line. Even though the Suns were missing Stoudemire, Nash kept the team rolling with 54 wins. He had some awesome moments, like dropping 42 in a crazy double overtime game against the Nets and hitting a clutch playoff game winner against the Clippers. But many people felt Kobe deserved MVP instead. And to be fair, he did average over 35 points per game that season. Number 18, Steve Nash. Steve Nash won MVP in 2005 by turning the Suns from a 29-win team into a 62-win squad. He averaged 15.5 points and led the league with 11.5 assists per game, running Mike D'Antoni's high-speed 7 seconds or less offense perfectly. Nash clearly made his teammates better, helping Stoudemire and Sean Marion have huge seasons. But his MVP year lacked aura because most NBA fans didn't see him as the actual best player in the league. Also, Nash's modest scoring numbers and weaker defense made some feel his MVP was more about team success than true individual greatness. Number 17, LeBron James. The 2012 season was lockout shortened, which already majorly dampened the aura. After losing the finals the year before and getting heavy criticism for the decision, LeBron returned extremely focused and efficient. He improved his inside game and shot a career-high 53.1% from the field. Still, the regular season felt more like business than excitement, without many flashy moments. LeBron clearly deserved MVP, but fans mostly remember this year for him finally winning a championship later in the playoffs, rather than anything amazing he did during the regular season itself. Number 16. Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk was incredible in 2007, leading the Mavericks to a league-best 67-15 record. He averaged 24.6 points per game with 50-40-90 shooting splits. But the aura around Dirk's MVP took a huge hit when the Mavs lost in the first round of the playoffs to the 8-seed Warriors. This embarrassing upset made Dirk feel awkward about accepting the MVP trophy, calling it the most uncomfortable moment of his career. So even though Dirk was clearly deserving and had an amazing regular season, the shocking playoff exit makes his MVP year feel less special looking back. Number 15, Nikola Jokic. Jokic picked up his third MVP in 4 years in 2024, easily guiding the Nuggets to another top 2 finish in the West. But compared to his earlier MVPs, this season felt less exciting. Fans had become used to Jokic's greatness. He had huge performances like a 40-point, 15-rebound, 15-assist night, but these moments weren't surprising anymore. His 2024 season showed quiet, steady greatness, but it didn't have the fresh energy or drama of other MVP years. Number 14, Stephen Curry. Steph's first MVP in 2015 kicked off the Warriors dynasty and changed how the league viewed offense. Not only did he lead Golden State to a 67-15 record, but his 286 made threes was the most ever made in an NBA season up until that point. While his season was exciting, Curry didn't fully feel like the league's top player yet. His numbers weren't as dominant as other MVPs. In hindsight, this season was the beginning of something special, but compared to what came next, the aura here was still building. Number 13, James Harden. Harden finally got his MVP in 2018 after a few near misses. leading the Rockets to a league-best 65-17 record. He averaged 30.4 points, 8.8 assists, and had some insane highlights, including the NBA's first ever 60-point triple-double and that viral crossover where he dropped Wesley Johnson and stared him down. Harden ran one of the most efficient offenses in league history, and his step-backs, foul drawing, and ISO scoring were basically impossible to stop. But even with all that, some fans didn't fully embrace the style. The MVP was well earned, and his season was dominant, but the overall vibe wasn't universally loved. Some fans even felt like his play style was destructive to the game of basketball. Number 12. LeBron James. LeBron's second MVP season in 2010 was even better statistically than his first. He put up 29.7 points, 8.6 assists, and 7.3 rebounds while leading the Cavs to 61 wins. He was insanely dominant on both ends of the floor and clearly the best player in the league. But by this point, LeBron's greatness was expected, and the season lacked a strong narrative. There were big performances, like a 43-point triple-double against Denver, but nothing that truly shifted how fans saw him. Add in the looming free agency drama and another early playoff exit, and the aura around this MVP just didn't hit as hard as some of his others. Number 11. Nikola Jokic. Jokic's second MVP was statistically ridiculous. 27.1 points, 13.8 rebounds, and 7.9 assists, and the highest PER in NBA history. He became the first player ever with 2,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 500 assists in a season, all while carrying a depleted Nuggets roster to 48 wins. In classic Jokic fashion, he was so consistent and quiet about it that the season didn't feel like an event. Still, the season was special. And at this point in these rankings, you could pretty much argue for any of these seasons to be higher. I mean, this might have been the best statistical season in NBA history. Number 10. Nikola Jokic. Jokic's first MVP season in 2021 felt like something new entering the league. He dominated on insane efficiency, all while playing 72 games during a chaotic, pandemic-shortened year. That availability, paired with his all-around brilliance, made him the clear MVP, winning 91 of 101 first-place votes. What made this season stand out wasn't just the numbers, but how Jokic did it. He was the first center since Shaq to win MVP and the first ever drafted in the second round to take home the award. His game was different from every MVP before him. No explosive dunks, no flashy ISO scoring, just smart, effortless basketball. Full court bounce passes, feathery mid-range jumpers, and surgical control of Denver's offense. After Jamal Murray went down, Jokic kept the Nuggets steady and locked in the 3 seed, proving he could carry a team through real adversity. The vibes around the season were quiet. No packed arenas, no huge storylines, but Jokic's consistency and style gave the year a distinct energy. It was the moment fans and media realized this slow-moving, pass-first big man was actually the most valuable player in basketball. His MVP wasn't loud, but it felt important. Number 9. LeBron James. LeBron's first MVP in 2009 felt like the official beginning of his takeover. At just 24, he led the Cavs to a 66-16 record, the best in the league, and he put up 28.4 points, 7.6 rebounds, 7.2 assists, and nearly 2 steals per game. He also finished second in Defensive Player of the Year voting, showing how complete his game had become. He was honestly just ridiculous, and Cleveland, with no real co-star, dominated behind his all-around brilliance. The aura here was huge. LeBron wasn't just a star anymore, he was the guy. His 52-point triple-double in Madison Square Garden earned MVP chants from Knicks fans. His chase-down blocks were becoming legendary. He had finally reached that level where every night felt like a statement. The Cavs were blowing teams out at home, where they held a 39-2 record, and LeBron was at the center of every major NBA conversation. People were fantasizing a final showdown with Kobe. At this point, there wasn't much debate. LeBron had arrived as the league's top player. The championship didn't come that year, but the MVP run made it obvious. We were entering into the LeBron era. Number 8. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis' 2018-2019 MVP season marked the moment he officially arrived as one of the NBA's most dominant forces. At 24 years old, he led the Bucks to a 60-22 record, the best in the league and Milwaukee's first 60-win season in nearly 4 decades. He averaged 27.7 points, 12.5 rebounds, 5.9 assists, 1.5 blocks, and 1.3 steals per game while playing elite defense and anchoring both ends of the floor. This was the year Giannis stopped being a fun, freakish highlight machine and became a full-on superstar. Under new coach Mike Budenholzer, the Bucks revamped their offense, spacing the floor around Giannis and letting him control the game with unmatched physicality. He lived in transition, blew by defenders with long strides, and dunked everything. The transformation from promising all-star to unstoppable MVP felt fast, but it was real. Giannis didn't just put up numbers, he changed the ceiling of an entire franchise. One of the defining games came late in the season against Philadelphia, where he dropped 45 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists in a high-stakes matchup that helped lock up his MVP case. His highlight reel was packed with chase-down blocks, coast-to-coast slams, and sheer force plays that no one else in the league could match. He finished comfortably ahead of James Harden in MVP voting and gave an emotional, humble speech that showed how much it meant to him. While this season gets slightly overshadowed by his 2020 MVP and 2021 finals run, in real time, it was massive. The league was clearly shifting, and Giannis had taken the spotlight. The aura here was about emergence. This was the moment everyone realized he was no longer the future. He was already here. Number 7. Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook's MVP season wasn't just historic, it was a cultural moment. After Kevin Durant left Oklahoma City in free agency, all eyes were on Westbrook. People wondered if he'd flame out or if he'd carry the load solo. He did more than carry it. He set it on fire. Russ became the first player since Oscar Robertson in 1962 to average a triple-double over an entire season. 31.6 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 10.4 assists. He led the league in scoring, finished top 5 in assists, and played with a level of intensity that felt almost uncontainable. His 41.8% usage rate was the highest ever at the time. The offense didn't just run through him, it was him. The stats were wild, but what gave the season its insane aura were the moments. Westbrook had 42 triple-doubles, breaking Oscar's record. He had multiple 50-point triple-doubles. He hit game winners, but the biggest one came on April 9th, 2017 in Denver. He dropped 50, grabbed his 42nd triple-double, and drilled a 36-foot buzzer beater to win the game and eliminate the Nuggets from playoff contention. The crowd gave him a standing ovation on the road. That shot felt like the perfect exclamation mark on one of the most dramatic MVP campaigns ever. The Thunder only won 47 games and got bounced in the first round, which some people held against him. But the regular season was such a spectacle that it didn't matter. Westbrook was doing something nobody thought could be done again. The storyline, the numbers, the emotion, it was all there. It wasn't the most efficient MVP season, but it might have been the loudest. The aura here was built on pure force of will, night after night, and it was unforgettable. The only thing you could have argued against Westbrook this season had nothing to do with him. James Harden also had an insane year, and there were a decent amount of people who felt he should have won the award. Number 6. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis' second MVP season in 2019 was absolute dominance, wire to wire. He averaged 29.5 points, 13.6 rebounds, and 5.6 assists in just 30 minutes per game. Absurd numbers for so few minutes played. He led Milwaukee to a 53-12 record before the season was suspended, on pace for 70 wins. But what really set this year apart was that Giannis wasn't just the best offensive force, he was the best defender too. He became just the third player in NBA history to win MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same season, joining Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon. That's some rare air. The regular season was filled with moments that boosted his aura. One of the most memorable came against the Lakers when he hit his 5th three of the game and crowned himself at center court, a sign of how confident and fully formed his game was becoming. He wasn't just dominating with athleticism anymore, his jumper was improving and teams had no answer. Every night he attacked the rim like a battering ram, but now he was pulling up from 3 and locking down the other team's best player. The only thing that held this season back from being even higher in aura was what happened after the shutdown. The Bucks never looked the same in the bubble, and Giannis got hurt during their second round loss to Miami. The award still felt well earned, but the ending muted the overall hype. Even so, this season was a beautiful display of Giannis as a physical force, someone who took over both ends of the floor, rewrote stat lines nightly, and made history along the way. Number 5. Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose's 2010-2011 MVP season was electric. At 22, he became the youngest MVP in league history and led the Bulls to a 62-20 record, the best in the NBA. He averaged 25 points, 7.7 assists, and 4.1 rebounds, taking a solid team and turning them into a true contender almost overnight. What made it special wasn't just the numbers, it was the way he played. Fearless drives into the lane, lightning-quick crossovers, high-arcing floaters, and explosive dunks that brought Chicago to its feet. Every game felt like a statement. With multiple game winners and fourth-quarter takeovers, Rose built an aura that was impossible to ignore. His famous preseason quote, "Why can't I be MVP?" sounded bold at the time, but by April, it just felt obvious. He brought real hope to a city that hadn't felt a spark like that since the Jordan years. Even if his efficiency and advanced stats didn't match some other MVPs, it didn't matter. Rose wasn't just leading the best team in the league. He was doing it with style, humility, and intensity. He earned 113 of 120 first-place votes, and there was no serious pushback. The story, the impact, the energy, everything just clicked. His MVP season wasn't about dominance in the traditional sense. It was about belief, emotion, and the feeling that something incredible was happening in Chicago. Number 4. Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's 2013-2014 MVP season was the moment he fully stepped out of LeBron's shadow and claimed the spotlight. With Westbrook out for a big chunk of the year, Durant carried OKC to 59 wins while putting up 32 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 5.5 assists per game. He won his 4th scoring title in 5 years and led the league in total points, all while shooting efficiently from everywhere on the floor. He was in total control night after night. Durant scored 25 plus points in 41 straight games, the 3rd longest streak ever, and delivered multiple unforgettable performances. A 54-point outburst against the Warriors and a 51-point game that included a game winner in double overtime against the Raptors stand out. His scoring felt effortless, but this season wasn't just about the numbers. KD stepped into a leadership role and played with purpose. During a 27-game stretch without Westbrook, he averaged 35 and 6 while keeping the Thunder near the top of the West. Then there was the speech. His MVP acceptance went viral, thanking his teammates, choking up talking about his mom, calling her the real MVP. That whole moment gave his season emotional weight that very few MVP runs ever have. It felt personal, grounded, and just deeply human. Durant's 2013-2014 campaign had the stats, the story, and the moments. It was KD finally hitting his prime and getting his due, all while showing the league he wasn't just a scorer, he was the guy. Number 3. LeBron James. LeBron's 2012-2013 MVP season wasn't just dominant, it was nearly flawless. Coming off his first championship, he returned to the court looking completely in control, with no pressure left to prove himself. What followed was one of the most complete and efficient seasons in NBA history. He averaged 26.8 points, 8 rebounds, and 7.3 assists, all while shooting a career-best 56.5% from the field and 40.6% from 3. His true shooting was elite, and there was no weaknesses in his game. He scored, defended, created, rebounded, and led. The Miami Heat finished 66-16, and LeBron was the driving force behind a 27-game win streak, the second longest in league history at the time. During that stretch, and really the entire season, he operated with a level of control and consistency that was just surreal. One stretch in particular, where he had 6 straight games of 30-plus points on at least 60% shooting, was something the league had just never seen. He was dissecting teams with precision on offense and destroying them on defense, often guarding the best player across all 5 positions. The Heat had stars, but LeBron was clearly on a different level. Signature moments came often. Game winners, chase down blocks, and coast-to-coast finishes where you could just see the will of the game bending to him. By the time MVP voting came around, it felt like a formality. He received 120 out of 121 first-place votes, missing out on being the first unanimous MVP by just 1. This was LeBron at his apex. Not just the most talented player in the league, but the most locked in. The vibe of the season wasn't loud or dramatic. It was just that he was in total control. LeBron didn't need to chase greatness in 2013. He just was greatness. Number 2, Kobe Bryant. Kobe's MVP season felt like the basketball gods finally making things right. After years of being in the conversation but never taking the trophy, he delivered a campaign that checked every box: production, leadership, narrative, and unforgettable moments. He led the Lakers to a 57-25 record, the best in the West, all while averaging 28.3 points, 6.3 rebounds, 5.4 assists, and 1.8 steals per game. And he did it all while playing through a torn ligament in his shooting hand, without missing a single game. But what really made this season special wasn't just the numbers, it was how Kobe evolved. The narrative shifted. After years of being labeled a selfish scorer, he was now being praised for leadership, for elevating teammates, for embracing the full weight of being the face of the Lakers. The mid-season trade for Pau Gasol gave Kobe a legit co-star, and the moment it happened, the Lakers transformed from a solid playoff team into real title contenders. But the engine of it all was Kobe, locked in, relentless, and playing with that signature edge. The aura around this season was different. Kobe had already been feared and respected. Now he was universally acknowledged. His clutch performances piled up, buzzer beaters, fourth quarter takeovers, and late game decisions that screamed confidence and control. One of the defining moments came in Game 1 of the playoffs, where he scored 18 points in the final 8 minutes to close out the Nuggets. This wasn't unusual for Kobe that year. It was expected. And then there was the backdrop, the revival of the Lakers-Celtics rivalry. Kobe winning MVP as Boston reloaded for a finals run gave the season a historic, almost cinematic weight. While he didn't win the title that year, his MVP felt like a crowning achievement, earned through a decade of excellence, sacrifice, and just myth-making. It wasn't just a great season. It was the season Kobe's aura finally became undeniable. Number 1, Stephen Curry. Steph's 2015-2016 MVP season wasn't just the best of his career. It became a turning point in basketball history. He averaged 30.1 points, 6.7 assists, 5.4 rebounds, and 2.1 steals per game, all while shooting 50.4% from the field, 45.4% from 3, and 90.8% from the line. He led the league in scoring and steals while joining the 50-40-90 club. But beyond the stats, this was the year the game changed. Curry hit 402 threes, shattering his own record and warping how defenses had to think about space. He didn't just shoot deep, he shot from distances that used to be considered warm-up range. His release was so fast and his handle so unpredictable that teams looked helpless trying to guard him. Golden State started the season 24-0 and finished 73-9, breaking the 96 Bulls all-time wins record. Curry became the first unanimous MVP in NBA history, taking all 131 first-place votes, a level of dominance no one had ever achieved before. And the moments? Unreal. The defining one came on February 27th, 2016, when he pulled up from 32 feet in overtime to beat the Thunder on the road. It was a shot that didn't even look surprising because Curry had done it so many times already that year. That single play, staring down a double team and rising up from near half court, felt like a cultural reset. The reaction from fans, players, and even coaches was the same. There's nothing you can do. Every Warriors game that year felt like a must-watch event. People tuned in just to see what Curry might do next. The aura around the season was total. No player had the league in the palm of his hand quite like Curry did that year. The winning, the highlights, the efficiency, the joy, it was all there. And no MVP season, before or after, has matched that mix of magic and dominance. Well, at least not since Michael Jordan.